So we could start with, we're going to have you tell us a little bit about yourself. But first, I just love the videos, the creativity you have on the videos for your product. Jenny's our assistant here. Jenny, if you want to play the first video so that our viewers get an idea of what Sarinya's developed.
One diaper bag will rise above the rest. Are you prepared? To go. To soothe. Aspen Tyke traveler.
You gotta love it. Like I mean, everyone in the office here has watched that several times. It's very captivating. Well, let's start with, first of all, your background is amazing. You're an industrial engineer. You've had, a long career doing several things that seem at first to not be related to developing, children's products. But that's just kind of, everything has been like a building block for you, bringing you to where you are now. So tell us a little bit about what led you to invent the Aspen Tyke Traveler. Like, what was your inspiration behind that?
Yes, and I would like to emphasize what you said it sounds like the building block, and at first when you hear the background, it sounds like it's all over the place. Like I start from being industrial engineer, later working as manufacturing engineer, and become financial analyst. It doesn't sound like it's connected.
Right.
And eventually I quit my job and do the real estate development. I have the studio space it's more like timeshare for photographer. And then I launched the diaper bag. It sounds like everything is all over the place. But that is one thing that I would say is the core that people might not see, that in the middle, which is the organization system. So everything that we talk about behind the scene, it requires the system. I have to be pretty organized in order to do well in each function when I did that. Yeah, I also view myself as the lemonade maker. As we always hear that if life gives you lemons, make lemonade. So, and that is the part that I see myself, because I seem to have fun facing the challenge and try to seek out what is the better solution. Is there the solution out there in the market, that kind of stuff. So it's more like, it's also fun along the process. Not just obstacle, but I try to inject the fun aspect into my journey as well.
You've definitely done that. But you talk about the lemons, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Tell us about some of the lemons that you were given that inspired the Aspen Tyke traveler.
Yes, one of the biggest lemon that I have was about 10 years ago when I had my baby. I feel like I was facing the lemon field. So like every turn I found lemon. And one of the biggest one was when I took the baby out in public area and have to change the diaper. As we go to the public restroom, I could not have my husband there with me. So it's more like just between me and my active baby. And my baby back then seemed to be like, he loved to grab everything. Let's say if I feel like, oh, I am ready right now. And suddenly he grabbed the diaper, he grabbed the baby wipe, everything and throw on the floor. So as everyone know, when everything fall on the floor, like it's just you and the baby, you have to use one hand, making sure that the baby stay on the changing station, and then you have to bend down and try to find your stuff. And so that was very awkward situation. And I feel like, hey, it got to be something better that can help the parent do their job. So that also come to the first idea that I feel like if I make the diaper bag, everything have to stay and it have to stay in one area. It's more like one-stop shopping, and it got to give me the better access to each item while my baby doesn't have access to all of that. So that is my original idea. And the second idea also come to the frustration. If I forget to put something in the diaper bag, I feel like, hey, as a mom, oh my God, like, do I fail again today that I forgot to throw in the diaper? Right. Thing like that. So that also come to the reminder system to make me feel like, hey, I'm ready to take the baby out in public.
Because I mean, looking at the two dads, like in comparison, the one is disorganized. He's got multiple bags, and like most baby diaper bags, and I know as a dad of 5. That there was really, I've never seen anything with so many like organized compartments, and they all close. So even if the baby grabs at stuff, it's not like they're going to be able to take anything and throw it on the floor, like you said. And the restroom floors, what could be more disgusting than the floor of a public restroom? So even if you can't hold the baby and grab the item, that's not what you want to do. But then to remember everything, to run through this checklist, I mean, now my kids are older, but I even need a checklist just for normally when I leave the house, like wallet, keys, cell phone. But with a baby, that's exponential. You've got pacifier, diaper, wipe, like whatever, all this other stuff that you need to take, bottle, extra nipples, whatever, all this stuff. But it's so nice to have this checklist system that really helps with organization. Like so you had this. You didn't set out to create a new product. You initially were looking to buy something that would make your life easier.
That's correct. And at first, when we talk about checklist, and I search on, I Google for the baby packing checklist and print that out, which I believe most of the parents do that as well. So, but the problem become like when you have a piece of paper, you put in the bag, and each time you pack, you have to take the paper out and check if you have every item. And eventually I end up using those diapers to wrap the dirty diaper, or to use that paper to do something, which also come to the next question, like, hey, how can I embed that kind of checklist system into the bag? Why is the bag? Because when you are out with the baby, what do you have with you at all time, like other than your clothes, which is the bag? Like what I offer itself is not the diaper bag per se, because you can buy that diaper bag, existing diaper bag in the market already. But what I offer is more like the organization system. It's the system that remind you what you need, before you get out of the house. And also by that time, because I think a lot of parents, they do not get much sleep. And most of the parents seem to forget things all the time. At the same time, because we tend to do a lot of work, over attention is with baby at all time. And I feel like it's also good to reward the parent. So it also comes down to the word mom needs all. And when I say mom needs all, because of my background as industrial engineer, so I feel like, hey, what if I can marry three elements together? Like the first element is the Kanban method. I believe everyone in the business know Kanban method, because I love the visibility, the visualize of the flow. So that's why all the pocket that we have are virtualized. We also have the check mark in that. So when you put the item, you know that, hey, that pocket, that is one checklist that you already check. So that is the first element, which is the Kanban. The second element is the checklist. If everyone have read the checklist manifesto, it's very simple and humble method. However, like checklist can save life. And so I love the idea of checklist. I still use checklist every day in my life. And the third element that we add is also organization system, to make sure that when you have designated place for each item, when you reach into your pocket, you don't even need to think like, where should I search for that item? Because you know, if you reach your hand in the right pocket, you find this item. If you reach your hand into the left pocket, you will find the key or the keychain or something like that. Which also come to like, I also like Kondori. If you have heard Kondori organization technique, I'm sorry, I'm also a big fan of Kondori.
So one of the things that that I think a lot of our viewers would find inspiring, because a lot of inventors, their biggest obstacle is the financial, is finding the funds and trying to get the money so that they can file for a patent, so that they can produce prototypes. And we'll get back to patents as well, because you're very fortunate that you realize the importance of protecting your idea and you have it patented. But in order to file for the patent, you have to have the funds, and it's not really advisable to start selling your product until you have the patent. So that's a big catch-22 for inventors. How can they legally protect their idea without funding, and how can they get funding first? So those are the always competing interests. Tell us about how you were able to raise funds for your concept using Kickstarter. And you have a second product as well. So we're going to play that video also. But first, tell us about your experience with using Kickstarter to raise funds for to support the inventing.
Yes, and for our first Kickstarter project, we start that after we have our idea filed, like with USPTO. So like we start with provisional patent first, because that process doesn't require too much money. And after we file provisional patent, we know that we have a year to go back and file utility patent. So for a lot of inventor that doesn't want to spend too much money upfront, I strongly recommend you doing that before you release your idea to the public. So after we file provisional patent, that when we come to start the Kickstarter project. And for us, we do the Kickstarter project mainly to test the idea, because we feel like if we launch on Kickstarter and we did not get enough support, that also means that the idea that we thought might be good might not be the idea that we want to pursue. So with that, it can save us thousands of dollars. However, when we launched on Kickstarter, we got a lot of support. We got a lot of good PR. Those are organic PR. Especially, I think the video really helped a lot, and we got a lot of contact from the other country, like we were in the GQ magazine in Brazil. We got a lot of contact from Japan, nothing like that, because they saw that video and we got a lot of free publicity from that one. So that when we come back and said, hey, this might be a good idea to go ahead and pursue. So that's how we get started at the beginning. Talking about Kickstarter itself, we never view Kickstarter as the platform to go in to generate a lot of income. Like a lot of people, when they launch the product and start selling product on Amazon, for me, that is, yes, that is the selling platform. But I view Kickstarter as the platform to go find like-minded people and see if the message that you want to set resonate well with your target market. And that, for me, that is the real market research, other than hiring some company to do the survey or things like that. I feel like that is not the true market research. For me, this is the real life market research. When people are willing to spend money upfront, even though the product doesn't exist yet, and wait for a couple months before they get the product, I feel like that is the win for us, that we can find someone who is willing to invest in our idea.
Yeah, so that's really more accurate, because asking somebody if they would buy your product, that's one way, is the surveys. And they've been proven to be wrong, because a lot of people, when there's not real money involved, they would say, yes, I would buy that. But now when it comes to taking out your credit card and actually entering the numbers and knowing that as soon as you hit submit, that money is going to leave your account, that's the most accurate survey you can get, because they're purchasing. So I like your concept of using Kickstarter kind of as a litmus test to see if you're onto something. Like, listen, is there potential? Because if people are not willing to buy pre-orders of the product, then you can save a lot of money by not putting a ton of money into production and manufacturing, because why produce something that nobody's going to buy, correct? Like,
yes, correct. And based on Kickstarter, because you will also need to ship your product to your backer as well. And from the address that we got, we pull all those address and also plot in the map. So with that, we have better understanding on people, like, let's say, people from the West, which area that we seem to penetrate better. Like, for example, we got a lot of support from California, from the West Coast area. And we also get a lot of support from the East Coast area as well, like New York area and things like that. So we know that, hey, this is our target market if our assumption is right per the result that we see. Yeah. And on the other hand, when we talk about survey, I have the real life example with that Kickstarter project, the Aspen Tyke Traveler, because we also allow people to vote for the color. Like, we post the color and have people vote for that. And the most popular that people vote for were the turquoise color. However, when it comes down to ordering, even people who vote for turquoise, then when they want the bag for themselves, it seems to be the forest gray and the black. And I even talked to some of them that they order black, and I asked them, did you also vote what is your favorite color that you want me to release? And he said, yes. I said, what color? And he said, oh, the burgundy. So what did you order? I ordered the black. So that is two different things. Like, when one is the survey, the other one is what they decide for reality. So,
right, because one is, okay, when it's a survey, they don't have any skin in the game, right? It's like, what neat, interesting color would you like to see? And there's no loss. Now, when it comes to ordering and it's a credit card and their own money, now they have to think about what color do they want to be seen with if they have this, what outfits do they wear and what matches best, and then you get the accurate answer. That's great insight that a lot of our viewers could learn a lot from, because it's one thing to try to predict what your consumers are going to want, and then the actual data that comes from actual sales, there's no replacement for that. To give another example, I mean, you're watching that video, and I know a lot of your marketing it seems to be oriented towards dads, right? Like, and one of your slogans is dads with bags, but the incredible demand that you're having from moms for the product, because it's, you know, having an organized system is universal. Like, women also don't want stuff thrown all over the place and their babies to throw the diaper on the restroom floor. So that's where actual sales come in, because you're getting a lot of sales and a lot of interest from moms. So you're kind of now, your product is universal, right? Basically parents. Now you're targeting parents in general.
That is correct. And a lot of time we also have mom buying the bag to give to the dad as well. So
as gifts, right?
The Father Day's gift.
Perfect. Now we're going to take a quick break to play a second video of yours, because you now are a serial inventor. You've got a second product that's being run on Kickstarter with a campaign as well. So Jenny, let's play this. Love it. Love this video. This is so you now have experienced 2 different Kickstarter campaigns. And that's an area that a lot of inventors are experimenting with, they're struggling with. And Jenny, if you want, for those that are not familiar with Kickstarter, if you want to just in the chat, type in the URL for Kickstarter and Indiegogo, if anyone wants to look those up. But Sarinya, what advice would you have for any inventors that are contemplating a Kickstarter campaign? What have you learned that you wish you would have known when you did your first campaign?
I would say for both Kickstarter and Indiegogo, the first day is crucial. You will need to get a lot of momentum going into your project and get a lot of support, and also the donation or the backer into your project the first day. When you get a lot of support on the first day, that momentum will also trigger the following days as well. Because when we launch on Aspen Tyke, I believe because of that video, it generates a lot of interest. And we have a lot of the other campaign contacting us, wanting to do the cross promotion. We have a lot of marketing companies shout out for us and things like that. At the same time, like when we did the second Kickstarter, like we try different aspects, and it's more like what you call low key, because that seemed to be what they call make 100, which we will allow to only do like 100 reward. So we thought, okay, this is much smaller scale, and we try with different method, and we did not get that much attention as well. Fortunately, we get enough funding to pass our goal for the second campaign. But I strongly recommend everyone to work a lot to build up that interest to go to your first day of hitting the launch.
So basically, you want to start strong, right? That's the advice. Like it's better to take a little bit longer before you launch, but make that launch day count. Like really hit the market hard, get all your ducks in a row, get your videos like perfected, the marketing in place, and then when you're ready to launch, because you don't get a second. That the expression, you don't have a second chance to make a first impression. That first impression on Kickstarter is really important.
That is correct, because like when we go on the launch, I would say for both project that we had, we hit launch when we feel like we were ready, but we didn't build up that interest. But fortunately, the first project went very well because of the video. We got over 10,000 views on Kickstarter itself, just on the video itself. And with that, it gave us enough momentum to be able to I would say it give us the leverage to cross promo with the other popular project as well. Think this way, just like high school, if you are popular and the popular group of people will open their arm to welcome you in. But if they feel like, hey, your project is not popular enough, they might not want to work with you.
So yeah, that's an interesting take. One of the questions that I think is fascinating. There's and by the way, Jenny, if you want to post a link to the Inventors Mastermind, my private Facebook group, and we'll have more information, and I'll address any questions that others may have. But one of the questions were so simple, but I'd like to end with that question. It's a 4-word question, 4 words, and that is, was it worth it? So how would you address that? The whole, because your career spanned several different fields, and this last, and I wouldn't say this is the last chapter because your chapters keep emerging. You now have this second product and a second launch, but how would you say, what advice would you have for inventors that are at the early stages right now, and they're wondering, is it all going to be worth it? So was it worth it for you?
Yes, for me, yes. I would say the first question that the inventor might need to ask themselves is, what do they like to do? And the second thing is, why are you doing this? Like for me, I know since I was a child, I love to invent. So I quit my job doing the business and things like that. But coming down to the invention, this is something that I love to do since I was little. And the second thing is, why am I still doing this? Like, I don't know, like how many times I fail, but I still get up and still doing this. And of course, we are not making millions of dollars yet right now, but I'm still doing it. And because I feel like, hey, I don't know, like how much longer I live or things like that, if this is worth it for me to do it. And I feel like, yes, I rather leave this to the world before I leave the world. So that is just the answer for my personal why. So it's also come back to the inventor, like what are you looking for? I would say if inventors are looking for money, they might have the different answer. But for me, it's more like, if I can leave the legacy for people to remember me after I leave the world, for me, yes, that is.
So, I mean, in that sense, I've had other inventors that I've interviewed. They get a lot of inspiration from reviews of their product and people that have been writing in about how it's helped them and changed their life. I know that's played a big part in filling your sales, so to speak, during those obstacles or during those tough periods, to look and see, you know what, it is making a difference, and getting this feedback from inventors that have, or sorry, customers that have purchased your product and it's made their life better. Because after all, that's what inventing is all about.
That's definitely true. And for the listener out there, you never know how much it means. Just one simple sentence that you give feedback to the inventor. Like for example, we got the feedback, just one sentence that said, I just want to thank you. Last week, I went to the library and your diaper bag saved my life because my baby has to explode. And unfortunately, the library doesn't have the changing table. So I end up changing my baby on the library floor. And I want to let you know that. It's just something simple like that we feel like, hey, Yes, right there, we hit the mark. That is the purpose of us releasing this invention. So
Wow.
I, I want to I want to tell the listener out there, if you find that some product you use in daily life really answer your need, I want you to reach out to the inventor, let them know that, hey, your effort has paid off, because at least it saved my time, it saved my life. That will mean a lot to the inventor.
Wow, what a wonderful thing to end on, Sarinya. We promised everyone a half hour because these days, in the midst of the pandemic, people are kind of zoomed out. So we do promise to keep these short. I would love to have you come back. I do an inventors virtual summit once a year, and lately it's been it's been a virtual, and it's been a huge success. So I'd love to have you back. You're a source of a lot of wisdom for our viewers. And that last piece of advice, I just want to repeat it. If for those viewers here, if you buy a product and you happen to purchase something from either Kickstarter or it's an individual inventor, that feedback is phenomenal. It can make a huge difference, especially for an inventor who's facing an obstacle, maybe a cash crunch, perhaps a prototype that's not working out the way they wanted. And if they're on that verge of giving up, that could make the difference for them. So terrific advice from Sarinya. Thank you for joining us today. And the viewers, thank you once again. And have a wonderful weekend. Happy Friday, everybody. And with that, I'm going to conclude. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.